Hello, welcome back. I just finished maybe the most exciting listening session I have had so far. Wow, that really was quite something, and I'm of course very eager and delighted to share this experience with you. I could compare 3 records. One record in 3 different versions. I could compare the analog pressing within the beautiful prestige series of Saxophon Colossus, Sonny Rollins Quintet. Yeah, you might say, yeah, but wait a second. I also have here the original American pressing, first pressing. Here is the jacket, and one of the, next to the matrix, one of the important things when it comes to the very first pressing is the address. You have to have the address 447 West 50th Street, New York, on the backside of the jacket and on both sides of the label. And then of course you have to have the correct number, the correct matrix. I just show you, this is the original first US pressing, and then you can see under the prestige title you see also the address on, I think you now see side A, and here no mistakes now with the handling. You can see it on side B, and as you can see, I really had the luck that I could compare this record, the Saxophon Colossus, against 2 other copies in unbelievable cool condition. The third pressing I could compare it to is the Danish first pressing, which is a very, very special pressing. I go into that a little later. It's on the prestige Metronome label, and also you can see it here in I mean, we are talking about records that are 66 years old. I mean, look at this condition here. Also you have a little deep groove, a smaller deep groove. On the other, the original, you have a larger deep groove. 66-year-old records. One of my absolute favorite jazz records. We have the Sonny Rollins Quartet with Sonny Rollins on tenor sax, Tommy Flanagan on the piano, Max Roach on drums, Doug Watkins on the bass. This comparison is possible due to 2 factors. First, Günther from Minty Vinyl was so kind and borrowed me his American first pressing. The American first pressing I have here is from Günther, Minty Vinyl. The Danish pressing is possible because Thomas Busk, one of the OBC dealers, put it up in the shop. A member of the OBC bought it and allowed and offered me to do this comparison, which of course is an amazing gesture. Thank you so much for the opportunity to do this. Yeah, maybe we go into the comparison, talk a bit about the pressings. Let's start with the icon, the original, the American first pressing. As I said, in an amazing condition, in this brilliant condition, you have to pay around 3.5–4K in euros, so this really is an expensive record. I have never, and also Günther said, seeing this in this condition is quite something special, hence the price, hence the scarcity, and of course a collector's item of the first degree. I mean, it's an absolute classic jazz recording. And yeah, I first listened to the first US pressing. Then I listened to the Danish first pressings, also original first, then Danish, then the analog production, and then forth and back and forth for some direct comparisons when it comes to specific things. Let's start with a comparison between the US pressing, the original, and the Danish pressing. And in general, what I've heard with those originals, in both cases, I have never heard a saxophone like this. Sonny Rollins' saxophone is like an explosion. The high range of those recordings are unbelievable. Really, really unbelievable. The freshness, the punch and the power. Dead-centered, mono recording of course, don't forget this, but still a beautiful sound stage. But it's all about the saxophone in a way. Unbelievable. It knocks you off your feet in a way. Let's get briefly into the Danish pressing and then compare them a little more directly. What's so special about this Danish pressing is it has the same matrix number like the US first pressing, like the original. Hence it probably, or it uses the same metal parts. So this is really something special, and then compare the prices. I told you already the price about a first US pressing in this condition. Of course, maybe you got your copy 20 years earlier for way less, probably possible. We're talking nowadays, here in Europe, for a copy in this quality. The Danish pressing, and again, also the Danish pressing, I've listened to it, it's not without any clicks, but very, 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 very few clicks. It's brilliant. So when you just on a visual grading, you see nothing. It looks perfect in my opinion, and it also plays perfect. So same metal parts, same matrix number. But the big surprise to me was that on a smaller degree, not a big difference, but I like the Danish pressing even a bit more because it has slightly more of everything. Although when you start with this US pressing, you would not think that it's possible that there can be even more explosion, even more dynamic, even more punch to a saxophone like you have here. But the Danish, and I really went back and forth and back so that I was really, really certain, really, really sure, this is impressive. Wow. Only explanation I have is that we might have a slightly better vinyl formula, although, then again, those Prestige and those Blue Note originals, they are built like tanks. They are so really strong. Even when you have a scratch, you quite often are lucky and you don't hear the scratch at all because they are so deep, they are so stable, really beautiful. But this Danish pressing, and consider the price of this one, is under a third. It was 1,000 euros. Of course, still a very expensive record, don't get me wrong. But if you only are about the best sounding version in these regards when it comes to those originals, you do nothing wrong with the Danish pressing. If I say it carefully, this Danish pressing is wow, killer. Of course, it lacks this huge amount of collectability that the US pressing has. But those first and the original pressing is not free of criticism in a way. But maybe we now get into the analog production. The analog production version, 58 euros with taxes. So you see there is the first big difference when it comes to these pressings. what really was astonishing to me was how big of a difference it is between those first and original pressing and this Audiophile reissue. You have the saxophone way more integrated into the band. The only criticism I have for those first and original pressing is that the saxophone, in a way, is the only thing that counts, in a way. The reissue has a way, way, way better, more profound bass. The all-over experience that there is a group of musicians who play together is way stronger on the reissue, way stronger. Of course, it lacks this absolute punch and explosion when it comes to Roland's saxophone. And now I would really love to talk to a real expert who can explain or can answer the question, does this unbelievable high-end comes with a price that you have this lack of low-end, of bass. And when it comes to the reissue, you have not this explosion, not this craziness, not this unbelievable, and it's great, don't get me wrong, this is great when it comes to the original, but you have here the more coherent, the more more audiophile, more music, more a band that plays together. You can hear the bass, you can hear the drums. Of course, you can hear it on the original too, but in a way, it's almost that they are just there to be there, because you need them somehow, but the big star is the saxophone. Might be on purpose, might be due to technical things 66 years ago. This is now something I will get deeper into. I will for sure do more of those comparisons, as thanks to the OBC I might have access to more originals of Blue Note, Prestige, Savoy and titles like that. So whenever I have the opportunity, I will do those comparisons, because that was quite an experience, that was quite exciting and interesting. So I've heard sometimes when people said, I don't need the originals anymore, those Blue Note as originals or the Prestige as originals, because I have this wonderful reissues. I understand when somebody says it, but due, at least in this case, and we will see if this goes on like this, due to the huge difference between those pressings, both make sense in my opinion. It makes sense. Of course, it's also a question of budget, because they are sometimes really expensive. It makes sense to listen to both versions because they are quite different. Big surprise, wonderful experience, very interesting. I will go on whenever I can. Great. Okay, that's it for this comparison. I will go whenever I can more deeply into it. Let's hope I will find other original copies in this quality, because this is of course something very important, to get those in a very good quality, which is in a way the most difficult part when it comes to those old treasures, to those wonderful recordings. Thank you very much for your time. See you on the next one. Bye.